me and a couple other Daily Caller staff, including Gray Stafford and Connor Wolf, we were down there taking photos, live tweeting, interviewing people, trying to figure out what was actually going on. And we came across this intersection, which was later called by some the most dangerous intersection in all of Baltimore. It had 2 burning cars in the middle. On different street corners, there were different rioters throwing liquor bottles and beer cans into the burning cars that would then explode and send up giant flames. And so that's where we were stationed for most of the night.
And it seemed as though you had a lot of peaceful demonstration during the day. And then, as was the case in Ferguson, right, as soon as night falls, that's when things start getting really bad. Although in Baltimore, you know, with all, they were throwing bottles, at least yesterday during the day. But that's this thing that it shares with Ferguson. As soon as night falls, that's when the real bad trouble comes out. Did you discover, were these people who were doing this damage? Because I've heard multiple theories on this. Were they from this area? Was this their neighborhood? Or was it like Ferguson, where you had, you know, a lot of people who were coming in who were not from Ferguson? They were coming into the area to bust it up. What's the true story on that?
Right, I've had a lot of people ask me that because, as you said, in Ferguson, it seemed that we had a lot of people bust in to do damage, to protest, to kind of make a statement. In Baltimore, I found that that wasn't so much the case. Everyone that I talked to, so many of them, they knew Freddie Gray personally. They said that that was a big reason they were out there, because they knew this guy. You know, he was a cool guy. They missed him, that they had this was their neighborhood. And at the same time, a lot of the people I met who were, you know, so upset about the rioting, you know, they were saying, this is our community, this is our neighborhood, we don't want them destroying it. But just because they weren't bussed in doesn't mean that there weren't opportunists there. I think that there's, you know, the people who make the live streams and the people who you see throwing things at cops or looting stores, you know, just because they're residents, you know, they're still opportunists taking advantage of a situation, even though they may not really care about the movement.
And you got caught up in that. I mean, you yourself personally. How did you get the big shiner there? Right.
Well, we in that same intersection, the most dangerous one that I referenced, there was an ATM that for about 30 minutes, at least a dozen rioters were rocking back and forth, trying to open. It was kind of a theme of the night. Were they ever going to get that ATM open? And so I went over to take a couple pictures with, you know, my colleagues. And when we did that, Connor Wolf got punched in the face, just blindsided out of nowhere. While he was interviewing someone, and it broke his nose, blood everywhere. So we ran across the street to, you know, patch him up and get away from our attackers. When we sat down on the other side of the street, I kind of got on my hands and knees to shine a flashlight while, you know, Gray Stafford started putting bandages on him. And that's when someone came up behind me and stole my phone, my cell phone. And I had a good feeling I wasn't going to get that back. But I turned around, and when I did, I saw about a dozen rioters approaching us. And that's when I knew things weren't going to go well. I saw a guy with a hammer just kind of popping his palm with the hammer, menacingly looking at us. So I kind of turned back to check on my colleague, and that's when, out of nowhere, someone really just clubbed me on the side of the head with a full liquor bottle. So I hit the ground, went unconscious momentarily, and some rioters really pounced on me. But that's when I have to give big respect to Gray Stafford, who really just went in there, reached in and grabbed me by the shirt collar and yanked me out as I was still kind of dazed and struggling to even know where I was or what was going on. He pulled me out, and we made a run for it to a getaway car.